What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about NIO. I want to go over some of the current data points, latest and updates, and everything else you need to know. But first, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So NIO's down 0.36%, 413 the low, 426 the high, and 19 million shares being traded within the first 45 minutes of the trading day. So NIO was top 10 most heavily traded. I even brought them up in my pre-market video under my other YouTube channel. But as far as news coming out from NIO today, there hasn't been anything, no press releases, no SEC filings. On a macro standpoint, we did get some data yesterday evening, and so GDP year over year came in at 5.2, forecast was 5.3, retail sales came in at 4.8, and then the forecast was 6.1. So not necessarily the best, not as good as the kind of beginning of the morning type of data, so new loans and M2 and so forth, but still nonetheless though, no real reason to kind of sell or buy. It's just somewhat neutral, something to continue to monitor. One thing that I think some institutions are selling based on though for NIO is their weekly numbers. So weekly registration numbers did come in, and it was not necessarily the best. So as a group, it did come in at 4,097. 552 for Firefly, so big reduction for that week over week, and then 2,412 for NIO, so somewhat level compared to last week, which came in just shy of 2,500, and then 1,133 for Onvo. So all three did kind of reduce, so not necessarily the best. So most likely that is what is prompting a little bit of a pullback, although it is not attributed to shorts. So as of right now, shorts are returning 1.29 million shares. So this is why I like to analyze this type of information, because by shorts returning, they kind of show that today's pullback is not justified. Some people might disagree with me on that for other reasons, but that's, in my opinion, a pretty good thing. 12.3% of the free floats being shorted, works out to be 189.81 million shares overall are being shorted. Looking at the options, again, only factoring in the market's been open roughly 45 minutes, you are seeing 1.61 million in calls, 518,000 in puts. So a lot of money is getting into NIO through options. Regrettably though, most of which are bearish in nature. So 68% of all the options being done so far are bearish. From the bulls, you see a consensus for it to be above 450. So piggybacking off of the good momentum, and I'm going to go over the technicals and some key levels that you really want to watch for NIO to close above today. So 450 is anticipated, so that's pretty good. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub 4. So given where NIO is at, so roughly 416, there is more upside anticipated. Right now though, with that 416, it is trading currently between this R2 and this R1. So 404 is going to be a strong support. 419 is going to be kind of that pivot point. And so ultimately, and best case scenario, you will have NIO closing above that level, continuing its good trend going into tomorrow. So just watch for 419. If it does close between this R2 and R1, you might see a little bit further consolidation tomorrow. But nonetheless, though, I think that's relatively healthy because NIO over the last 5 days did go up 18.54%. Usually when that does occur, you have a certain level of profit taking, and especially with NIO being manipulated from multiple different fronts, I think that's a little bit of a pullback isn't something to overly worry about. But nonetheless, watch for 419 because if it is able to kind of get above that, then 445 followed by 512 is going to be the next strong target / resistance points. So a little bit of a hop, skip, and a jump away from that $5 range. Aside from that though, there was one new rating that was posted yesterday. And so Morgan Stanley, Tim, who has a 36% success rating, did reiterate their 590 price target, even though they gave it 2 days ago. So I don't know the purpose of it. I kind of read some of the report, nothing substantial was changed. So maybe they're just doing that to hopefully incentivize and kind of prompt some buying, because that did really work as well last time they did that. So let me know your viewpoint on them reiterating that. Tim, on a side note, doesn't have that good of a success rating, so 36%, you might as well just flip a coin. Although a lot of EV analysts The EVs have been hard to kind of judge. So 61%, 50%, 49, 56, 42. So yeah, kind of all over the place essentially. But aside from that though, and the weekly numbers, there hasn't been really anything coming out as far as articles, aside from maybe just NIO being a squeeze play. I've seen a lot of people kind of starting to talk about that once again. So do you believe that NIO is a squeeze play with it at 12.3%? Again, as I've always given updates, they did return a significant amount, roughly, I think it was like 17 million. That's what kickstarted this very nice push higher. And that was done right here. So July the 9th. So yeah, let me know your thoughts if you think that NIO is a squeeze play or whatever else. Aside from that though, on the actual chart itself, it still is looking pretty good. So 394 is going to be that 100-day moving average. 50-day moving average is sitting at 372. So those are key ones to really make sure you stays above. And normally what has happened in the past when NIO has gone to the same type of setup, you actually have shorts doubling and tripling down to try to kill it. But this time around, they're not really doing anything. So essentially, if NIO does continue to get good capital coming into the stock, you could see a continued push higher. So today, in my opinion, yes, weekly registration numbers did suck. But I think big money's still paying attention to NIO, keeping it afloat. So it's not that far-fetched to assume that after today, you will see a nice continued push higher. 441 is going to be that 200-day moving average. So just kind of watch for that. And then aside from that though, stochastic RSI is relatively overbought. So again, this is why you're going to have a lot of extreme moves over the next little bit, because any stock overbought and you have some negative news such as weekly registration numbers, sometimes you get overreactions. So let me know your thoughts on NIO. Are you buying the dip? Are you selling? Do you believe that realistically NIO can hit $5? Or do you think that this is just some game that shorts are playing, allowing it to run up before they hit it back down? In my opinion, I think that today is just more of a consolidation day, and then tomorrow, or potentially even in the second half of today, you will see a kind of further push higher. So what's your thoughts on NIO? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon. I give buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, many of which have been absolutely on point. Definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.